Hello. The following video is a tutorial on how to use astrology for your journaling or to journal with astrology. And it's my first video when I was trying to kind of get a bit techie and incorporate, cut and edit it basically, and didn't do the best job. So I'm posting it anyway, but you'll first watch like, I don't know, however minutes, 10 minutes maybe, of just overview of everything basically, and then at the end add on, after I said goodbye, see the next day or something, then you'll get a video of me showing you my own personal example in my own journal of how I've done one of those methods that I talk about. So bear with me, I'll get better and sleeker when it comes to these video editing techniques, but the content is there, and which is what ultimately matters really. So hopefully you'll find it helpful. A great way to engage with archetypes and to use astrology for your own personal shadow work is to journal in alignment with transits. Now, there are three ways you can do this, or at least three ways that I've been doing it. So first, you just, for me, it's usually the morning routine or evening for journaling. And so I would pick up my journal and I would just start writing whatever it is that it's coming up for me that day, the morning, evening, like I say. And then, so that's the kind of most natural, maybe most flowy style of doing it. And then once it's all out on paper, I then go and check the transits for that day. And either by, I have a video which I will link in the box below, where I show you where on astro.com you can actually check your personal transits. They always, you have like a whole list of them. Or you just maybe have other ways of knowing your personal transits. But so like I say, you've done your journaling, it's all out that needs to come out and wanted to come out, and then you check what transits are happening for you that day. And then you kind of tally the two together, compare them or read them against each other so you know you've written. And then you kind of see what do you think of, in terms of all those transits, what are you actually writing about? Which of those transits you're writing about? So just, this is possibly advanced astrology. You will kind of have to know how the archetypes and their language, what their language is. But if it's a lot of wounding, a lot of deep kind of grief, kind of like, or just really, really painful issues, then it's possibly a Chiron transit, either a Chiron transiting your natal planet, or your natal Chiron is being transited by a planet that's currently moving in the skies. If it's to do with relationships, then it's most likely Venus or Mars involved there, particularly if it's romantic. If it's career, it could be again Mars, it could be Saturn, it could be Mercury. So you kind of, and if it's in astro.com, particularly if you're a member, you will always be able to read those aspects. So I always recommend, if you're serious about doing this work, they're quite reasonable. Yearly subscription, I think it's like €50, which it's reasonable, like I say, and you get all those aspects daily. You can actually open and read them in relative depth, and then you can do that and just see what resonates of those aspects and transits the most with what you already written, and then do another layer of writing. So then I often transcribe what's actually been written, particularly those sentences that are not sitting well with me, are actually they're triggering me basically. I don't like them. It's like they get my back up. It's like, what do you mean? Kind of a reaction to what I've just read. I write them down and then I then journal. Or it's like, like in schools when they give you a topic, or in university, whatever, essay topic, then go and write about this. That's the kind of thing. Then you write about whatever those things you selected from what you read, to deepen and to kind of unpack, all that stuff that's painful, that's difficult, so that's a great one way of doing it. Another way, which I will show you in a moment, my own little entry, just to spice up these videos a little bit, is let's say, like I say, this is generally, this channel of mine is more for advanced kind of intermediate astrologers, or more than just astrology enthusiasts. But obviously whoever feels welcome and can follow me, fabulous, you're more than welcome here. So the second piece, the second way of doing this journaling with astrology is, so you're kind of following your aspects as in transit, sorry, and you know what's kind of happening or what's coming up. And then you pick, particularly when there's Saturn either transits to your Saturn or Saturn transiting your planets. Chiron, Pluto, those big, not just big, but interpersonals, like, so what I mean, Jupiter, yes and no, but more Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto and Chiron. Those are the key players that are particularly fantastic to journal with. And why? Because their work is deeper, or rather how they affect us is far deeper, but also it's far reaching or further reaching, and it takes time to work through them and whatever they touch in our chart and how they touch it. So journaling is a kind of deeper work, and it's longer lasting. You know, you're journaling presumably, you know, or at least this is my suggestion, journal every day, you know, or at least 3 times a week or a few times a week. So journaling, like I say, it's an ongoing process. It's not something you do just for the day and then you can refer back. It's like you're building a bigger, larger piece of work and yourself through that work that is beyond just the mere persona, mere surface, which is kind of more the other planets, the way I view them, the way we work with them. So pick one of those bigger transits that you know it's coming up, and or you're in the middle of. If it's those, they last longer as well, so you have you have time to actually really sit with them. Where if it's a Mercury and Venus, by all means journal about all of them. I certainly do, absolutely. There's not one. I go into asteroids as well often, but like I say, the Saturn onwards are particularly potent, and you're doing the most shadow work by journaling with them, as it were. So you pick the transit that's happening to you at the moment, and then read about it. Read about, again, astro.com, or you know, all the articles that all the other astrologers that you follow that do that kind of, you know, that their content provides interpretations of these aspects. Just Google the aspect, let's say Saturn square Venus. Just Google, and until you know, cows come home, get as many articles, read them, and always, always, always sit with the ones that you don't like what you're reading. So there are 3 reactions that you are potentially going to be getting from reading. One is that you go, yes, you just love that. Oh, I know that's me. That's amazing. This is just who I am. Aren't I great? Fabulous. You got confidence there. That's okay. You can leave it for the time being. If you love it too much, there is a shadow there lurking as well, but it's not for this video. Just focus. So that's one reaction. The second reaction is like, you don't like it. You really don't like it, but you just, or you know it's you, and you really are so annoyed because you still haven't cracked it. You still haven't get to the bottom of this thing. Yes, you're reading and you're going, yeah, I know, you know, give me a break. I've been trying to do this work and it's not happening. That's the meatiest one. And the third one is indifference. And in my experience, well, you need to know yourself really well, I suppose. So sometimes indifference is a cover up for pain, and we don't want to, you know, yeah, I'm cool. I'm not really, it's not touching me. So you need to know yourself whether that's your indifference here, or is it just genuine indifference, just it just doesn't do anything for you. That means it's not for you. It's not your thing. So it's for this video today, I'm just going to address this reaction that it's like, you know, you don't really like it, or it just really irritates you because yes, you know, but you can't, you don't know. All that anger maybe, it certainly is in this case. So transcribe that. And it's so important to transcribe it, and then journal, engage with it, argue with it. Why is that? Just get to the bottom of why that's bothering you. Within the same principle, within the same method of like picking an aspect, and then, you know, doing what I just said. there will be a section where you don't necessarily love it because you're not there yet, but this negative section, or rather that, triggered your negative reaction, there will be something in the text usually that kind of offers the evolved version of that. Now that's a beautiful piece that you should then end your journaling process with. So after you've done all this, not so pleasant work, pick that section of collect it from all the articles you read. I mean, I literally have files just on an aspect. I had Neptune square Mars for about 3 years. I have 5,000 words content picked from various, articles and just put together in the way that makes sense to me. I edit that and then I reread and just journal on it. So there is a bad stuff that I'm working through and I'm just kind of trying to understand and, but also without it, it almost becomes just like hard work with no reward really. You want to pick the good stuff that you're not there, but you want to be, and you just feel when you feel so inspired and motivated to be that person, to do it that way, to do whatever the thing is, that way. But like I say, you're not there yet. Pick as many of those as you can. Put them in a sort of format or in a kind of meaningful sentences, because you're picking from various sources. Compile it together in a 1, 2, however many pages. You need to write it all down. So this is important to write all this down. I often use it as a reference, like I make it clear that it's a quote by someone, so that either you can go back later or just I want to kind of, credit people when the credit is due. So, like I say, compile all that, and then it's almost like you don't have to do anything else. You can, but the point is to use this almost like a reference to what to aspire to. And in writing it in great detail, you have like everything, everything you pick that's good that you want to aspire to. In the process of writing, there's just the act of writing it. You are kind of practicing energetically, because you're feeling things as you're writing them, and you can feel your energy and vibration rising, and that's how you start almost like unstucking yourself from the old patterns that you just had a good rummage around, or you can so you can either leave it at that, like I say, in just the transcription. I usually do some artwork around it to make it even beautiful and pretty, and I often go back to it. And the third way is retrospectively. So this would be usually for me, it's kind of more in the past when there was not as much internet, and so I would just write and I have them, my journals are with me since day one, so a load of journals I have. And then so like I said, I didn't have access to the current transits maybe as easily, so I would just journal like a year or 2 or 3 or 4, however many later. I'm at the opposition aspect, and I'm thinking, I wonder what it was like at the square. So the square would have been a crisis. Now the opposition is something's coming, not full circle, half circle, something is becoming illuminated. I'm getting clear about something that I had a first kind of inkling of what it would have been and what it was at the square. So you kind of then work your way back and figure out when there was a square, and then you check your journals from that time. I found those to be so helpful. So it's like almost like you are, how people say you can doing your own shadow work or distant healing. You don't have to be present. You can heal across timelines. You can heal your different lifetimes from today's perspective, from just doing your shadow work, your inner work today. You're healing your many lifetimes and your many selves. That's how this felt. Me going back in time and figuring out and then journaling on that time, but also reading what I've written at the time of that square, let's say, and knowing now what that square is again. Always Google get as many articles written on that aspect as you can, and then distill, like I just said a few minutes ago, how, and then use that to read those journals against these findings, right? That is so potent. You just almost feel like you're feeding a starved part of you that's almost, forgotten because it's been so long time ago. And then you bring it back to the current because that's what you are currently, but then all of a sudden whatever's currently happening for you, this opposition, let's say, aspect of, I don't know, Saturn, Venus, since we're on that example, becomes so much meatier. It's like you're doing 3 times the good work than you would if you didn't look back at the square, let's say, time. So, okay, so those are the 3 key, and from, in my experience at least, if you have any other ideas and suggestions that you do, please let me know in the comments. And as always with these astro tutorials, please let me know any questions you'd like me to, any topics, astrology topics that you'd like me to cover in my videos. I would do that. Always, that one I would always do with pleasure. And yeah, I shall see you next time, soon, no doubt, once I manage to end this. Okay, see you, bye. Okay, and as promised, although I've never done this kind of video, here is an example of my own personal journal that was last year, so the second method I talked about, which is to pick a transit and then journal on it, so you're kind of working with the energies already in the skies, as it were. So this was a 26th of Feb, 3rd quarter square between Moon and, as you can see, Moon and the Sun, and these are the coaching questions. So this is probably me reading from various sources, articles, YouTube, astrologers, anywhere and everywhere I could have, found about this, and then asking myself coaching questions. So they were probably talking about belief that needs to be released. For instance, so I asked that as a question in my journal, and I don't think this is me. This is still instructions. So if the answer to the question is not immediately clear, accept that and sit with the question in order to allow yourself to be guided by deeper and higher vibrations to the answer. So I think this is me just, can't remember because I can't see a quote, which I usually do, but maybe I missed it. So then Venus conjunct South Node at 22 Capricorn. This could be a reality check about your values and self-esteem. This could be actually Sonia Francis. She's an astrologer. She kind of does this coaching kind of style question. So maybe this was me taking notes as I was listening to her YouTube video, which I'll link her channel down below, not the actual, I don't know when this was, as in, what video this was about, but it's irrelevant anyway now. So how are your current rules working for you? So sometimes, if it is her, with her, I would either take directly her questions, or I would just, again, adjust them to my own, and them to suit my own needs. And again, another aspect, follow trail of clues that lead you to place of nurturing, empathy, and emotional satisfaction. So that is in Cancer, right? So that's the language, nurturing, empathy, and emotional satisfaction was the North Node in Cancer. So that's how you know which archetype it's being, addressed, and that's how you work with the archetype. And then be prepared for the facts. The facts and truth will continue to develop through 14th of March and 19th of April, when Mercury will aspect nodes 2 more times. So this is during a Mercury retrograde. So now I have all these dates written down. I can refer them. It's almost like planning now. Planning for my self-awareness. That's what this is. And yeah, and this is one of many books. I'm not going to give you the rest because it's all very personal. I do this, like I say, it's one of my absolute passions, journaling. So yeah, so hopefully this example kind of giving you some idea of how it works.